Hey there! I'm so excited. Okay, I feel like I start every video saying how excited I am, but I am just genuinely very excited because I love sharing with you. And so in this tutorial I will be demonstrating how to make this crocheted sweater. So let's get started. You are not buying your yarn, you're making your own yarn ball from old t-shirts that you have in your closet. So you're gonna take an old t-shirt, let's say this, and you make it into yarn balls. And then after you make it into yarn balls, you crochet it into a sweater. So I take my scissor and I start cutting from underneath. And it doesn't have to be even. I recommend for you not to cut even because you want it to have different bumps and different textures. So the more uneven you make it, the more interesting it will look. Cutting away. And I personally left the tags. Do you see the tags? You can literally grab it and see the materials that used to exist from the previous garment. In total, I have like more than 10 shirts and 3 scarves. I'm gonna double check. The correct number is right here. I have written it right here. It doesn't have to be also a mix match of different shirts, sweaters, jeans. It can be monochromatic if you want. So if you want it to be all white, all pink, all denim, it could also be monochromatic. The design is up to you. The basic steps are just cutting your garment into yarn balls, crocheting in a basic stitch. The way I measured my garment is by laying on top of the garment as it grew. I didn't use any math, to be honest. I'm not the best person when it comes to numbers, but I do know how to visually compare. So I just started to knit my chains and compared it to my body. So you don't need a number. If you're not into measurements, don't be into measurements. Just start creating your chains and compare it to your body. If you want it oversized, so you know you have to create more chains. If you want it tighter for a shaped hourglass, then you can create that as well. I wanted it to be more form-fitting to my body, so I made it into like this hourglass. I didn't create a standard rectangle, because it's not a triangle. A standard rectangle. It doesn't have to be that. It can be any shape. It can even be a circle, like straight, curvy, then straight again. This is the fun part. You get to use your creativity. And as it grows, just do like this. And then you start creating your ball. So I'm cutting in a circular motion. So when you reach the sleeve, you open it up like this. Here in this picture, so you see how I'm very close to the sleeve? That's when I start to cut it open in order to continue the circle. There are gonna be moments where it's just gonna break. Just take the end pieces and tie them together. Now, once you have your yarn balls, you are going to start to crochet. And when you start crocheting, you create a slip knot. I'm going to show you in this video. Here we go. So this is the one I began. The needle is this size. I have written the needle in the left side. So you start to take your yarn and you start crocheting. What you're doing here is you're bringing the hook over, back and forth. So back to front, back to front, and you keep inserting the hook into the chain stitch from the front. You do the same motion to the back, and it's one single crochet chain, and you continue to add on. If you want to shape it, you should start placing the needle in the chain that you want it to start, if that makes sense. So if you're reaching the last chain, don't stitch there. Stitch in the second to last, or the third to last, or the fourth to last, because what you're doing is that you're building a new shape. And it's, trust me, it's fairly easy. Check out in the description some of the links of the websites and tutorials that I myself use to learn how to crochet. This was actually my very first time crocheting, and I'm super happy with the outcome. I'm sure that you're gonna have the very same or even better outcomes than me. So don't be afraid to try it. Give it a chance. And if you don't want to start right into the sweater, just make a sample. Make a sample, teach yourself the technique, and then begin crocheting your sweater. Once you start crocheting, you're gonna see that you have little fabrics from changing into different yarns. Start to sew inside the little tails, and I personally didn't use a specific sewing technique. I just started to sew inside the different tails, and started to just go one by one, sewing it inside. Once you're done sewing all the tails inside, it's gonna look like this, super clean. Now, this is the last step. Once you have your two panels, you get to sew them together. And I just took my yarn, I inserted the yarn, and I just started to sew. Again, I didn't follow any specific technique. There's two ways. You can sew it so it's visible, the fabric that you've sewn, which I did here, if you can see the yellow, or you can sew it in a way that is not visible. Voila! All done! Once you do those steps, you're gonna have your very own crocheted sweater from your old t-shirts, sweaters, or pants. To see more of the photos, the final outcome, and to learn why I left the tags in the sweater, check out my Facebook page. Olha só, gente, de novo. Have a beautiful day. Make sure to make your own sweater. Let me know in the comments what you think, and any experiences that you've had making your own garment. I would love to read your experience. Make sure to check out my other social media accounts, and I'll see you in the next tutorial.